Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Rose.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our reaction and review of The Amazing Race 38, Episode 5. We are in Dubrovnik. First and foremost, Amazing Race. How do you not mention King's Landing over the course of an hour and a half? How do you not have a challenge where somebody has to roam around the streets being like, shame, shame, shame at people? It's just, there's so much meat on the bone. Do you just not want HBO to get any money?
Maybe that's it, yes.
I love Dubrovnik, though. I think it's a
That was
really
cool.
cool city. This is by far my favorite episode of this season, and it's really not even close.
Yeah, it was a really fun episode. I mean, and it was very cool to see some of the other teams really like being clued in on different alliances, what people are saying about them, what they're thinking about. And it wasn't just the U-turns. Like we had, Eric and Tucker actually overhearing stuff and Taylor really starting to clock some things to just be like, man, we really need to get into the lead here because this is Big Brother players. People have got to be having alliances and I'm not in the front, so I'm not part of it.
We had legitimate strategy talk that made sense. A great location. Challenges that were actually difficult and could alter the course of the race.
Yeah, and did.
And also an equalizer at the start of this. So everybody entered the leg, thankfully, on a level playing field.
Absolutely.
We will get more into all of it because there is a lot to talk about with this episode. Before we do, though, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We will be here with more Amazing Race coverage throughout this season. We are also in the midst of Survivor 49. We just posted our review of this week's episode of that as well. By subscribing, you're just helping to make sure you don't miss any more of our coverage.
And thank you to everyone for all your comments and being understanding of why our Amazing Race and Survivor have been late. We have a shared dog, Coco Chanel Vanderwolf, who has been doing quite badly. She was very sick yesterday. She's been sick for a few days now, went into the vet. She has kidney disease. She's going back in on Saturday to get an IV. Not doing very well. So we really do appreciate everybody's understanding on that. We've been updating our Instagram, which is Matt and Just TV. So if you do want to sort of keep up with what is happening with her, with us and her, just head over there. I will be keeping everybody updated.
Yeah, we really
thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate your support, your well wishes. We'll keep you posted along the way.
Yeah.
But okay, we will start with just the introduction here to Dubrovnik. All the teams come in here at the same time, and this is one of those locations where everything is kind of compressed, but it just does feel like, even from watching Game of Thrones, it could be so easy to just take one wrong turn and get lost in here for weeks on end.
Absolutely. It would look so confusing. So to end up seeing Eric and Tucker actually in this cab where they're just like, oh, can we have this map? And they're just like, yes, you can. I was like, oh, this is going to be so helpful for them.
This was just one of those legs where everything came up Eric and Tucker's way. This is actually the Tucker I expected to see on The Amazing Race because he was so dominant in the early part of his season on Big Brother, winning all these different competitions. And you kind of got an explanation why in this episode. I mean, he's athletic. He's smart. He's also really creative. He talked about his artistic side. He's a chef. Like, he can do all of these different things. Like, that is so useful for a show like this.
Absolutely. And now he has a map.
Yeah, he has a map. So he's got a couple of first place finishes. We'll talk more about him, of course, as we go on. We have a detour here, though, leading up to the U-turn. We have, do you want to slice up this fish or do you want to just carry all this stuff?
Let's carry all this stuff because here's the thing. Like, I am really clumsy. Everywhere I go, I fall. Everything I touch, I drop. If I'm using a knife and it's like a high pressure situation where it's like, oh, it's time, you got to go fast. I'm absolutely the person that's cutting themselves. Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
We would be the hospital team on that challenge. If, if we got detoured because you are clumsy, I have mild cerebral palsy, and I don't intentionally, anything that involves like having to shave fish scales or anything really, really delicate, I'm just not doing it. I'm just buying something that already has the bad stuff removed or something that's harmful because I know I'm not going to be able to cut it, that I'm just going to hurt myself. And so I would never do that, even though we are not hulking strong people here. I think we could do it. And
Yeah, I think so. Listen, like I'm pretty small. I am only 5 feet tall. I'm pretty small, but I feel like
yeah.
you could carry the net. I could carry the bucket.
Okay, how heavy is the net versus the bucket? I think we need a scientist to come in here.
That net looked like it was quite heavy.
Okay,
There's a lot of net.
I have carried a very heavy air mattress and a very heavy regular mattress. A memory foam. I was looking for the word. I've carried memory foam mattresses. Those suckers are really heavy, guys.
They really are.
I would hate myself doing this. I don't think we would get ahead doing it, but as long as we weren't U-turned, I think we would not have placed last, at least with this particular challenge.
Yeah, if we had to go back and do both, we'd be done. Yeah, we'd be just in the hospital. There's no way that I wouldn't be cutting myself.
Well, eventually here, Tucker and Eric just steamrolled this first part of the challenge.
They sure did.
They get to the U-turn board. They're like, all right, we don't need to use it, which I found hilarious because Tucker is the most competitive person of all time. And I'm just sitting here being like, did you actually learn something from Big Brother, Tucker? Which is not paint a bigger target on yourself unless you actually have to.
Listen, I understand it to that degree where he's like, I don't want to get any blood on me. I just want to move forward. I'm doing well enough without having to put anybody at a disadvantage. However, they are the team that is doing the best. That is not part of an alliance that are all like, let me write down directions for you. Let me do this for you. Let me help you here. They're not part of any of that.
It's a really tricky debate at this point because there is a school of thought in my head where I'm thinking, okay, do you go ahead and try to get rid of Jag and Jazz at this point?
Yes.
Or are you sitting back and being like, there's so many teams left that they might still be able to survive anyway. And now it's a back and forth. Like, I think there's legitimate cases for both.
I would have taken the shot. I would have pushed us to take the shot.
Okay, and here's where I'm going to put on my defender cap. And at the very least, I'm going to defend Jag and Jazz here for what they did with Izzy and Paige. Because if you go all the way back to Big Brother and the season that they were on, Izzy went home obviously a lot earlier than Jag did. Jag ended up winning, but they watched the season back, obviously. And there was a point late in the game where Jag wasn't that cool with Cirie. He was icing Cirie out along with his allies, and it was frustrating to watch. And Izzy, she loves Cirie down. Like, Izzy is never going to let that go. Izzy is so, and I say this out of love because I love it. I love watching Izzy, but she is so intense that if I'm Jag, I would never want her to be on the race with me. I'm just going to be thinking she's going to be coming for me the whole time.
And she is.
Yeah, and so he's just going to be like, she didn't think I deserved the win because of that twist my first season. I don't want to really have to deal with her. Go ahead and U-turn her and just hope and cross your fingers that she goes.
Listen, I understand where he was coming from, but I also understand where she was coming from, where she was just like, am I really going to beat them? We're the team that you're the most afraid of, that you're going to U-turn. Like, come on. Like, there are teams that are a lot stronger than us that you should be more afraid of than us. However, it's true. If they had an opportunity to do something to somebody, it's Jazz and Jag.
Yeah, 100%. And so I understand where Jag is coming from. I love Izzy and Paige's reaction. Izzy just double birding the U-turn bird. I mean, iconic. I continue to love Izzy for how upset she gets at things.
Absolutely.
But then we get to the other part of this.
Yeah, so Joseph and Adam.
Why did you guys U-turn, Rubina and Christine?
Yeah, it was very odd. I mean, they're a strong team, but there are other stronger teams that would have made a lot more sense to U-turn. Like, it was quite odd.
I would have U-turned Chelsea and Jack. And here's the reason why. Is that it's not that they are necessarily the strongest team out of anyone left, but I'm just thinking in the back of my head, okay, Chelsea on her Big Brother season, she won a lot of HOHs, especially down the line. And there are a lot of different Big Brother competitions, some endurance, some crapshoot, some puzzle based, and she's good at a lot of different things.
Yes.
And I would be very worried about the threat level something like that could pose down the road. So if you are very set on, okay, I want to get somebody up on this board to just make sure I have an advantage so that nothing bad happens to me, like I do understand that part of it, That's where I would have gone because, yeah, I just don't see Rubina and Christine as significant threats. I think they're solid racers, but they were never the best racers all season.
It was interesting to hear Taylor's comments on it, and I agree. The optics on it looked really bad. That you have two male teams that are putting up two female teams doesn't look good.
No, I understand where she's coming from because I think it's important to remember that Taylor in that moment, she doesn't have all the information that we do watching at home. So it's
Right.
easy, I think, for her to assume that Tucker and Eric are probably also a part of this larger gentleman's agreement when that's not true.
Yeah.
And also, these other all male teams, they're working with Natalie and Stephanie and all female teams. So Taylor's logic, I understand. Like the actual result may be incorrect, but I think when you're running a race like this, she's been in the Big Brother house. You know how easy it is to get paranoid about every little thing.
Well, that's the thing. Taylor knows that there's something going on. Like she said, she was like, we need to get to the front of this pack.
Yeah.
Because if we don't get to the front of this pack, we're not going to get the information because there are people that are working together. This is Big Brother.
Yeah.
I absolutely know that alliances are happening, but because we're so far behind, we are not getting this information. So seeing that U-turn and looking at the board, I understand why she's like, you know what? This has to be the way that it's playing out. It completely makes sense looking at this, that there is a gentleman's alliance. It was just unfortunate that they were talking about it right when it was being overheard.
Yeah, that's her big mistake, is that if you're going to have conversations like this, I don't know, have them in a cab or have them in a place where you can guarantee that no one is probably going to hear you. Because Tucker and Eric, they had no reason to want to go after you now. They weren't even involved in any of this. And now you've put them in a situation where now they may want to work with Jag and Jas, which I don't necessarily think is good for their long-term game either. Like, that's their other really big threat. But it's just, you didn't have to put a target on yourself, but because you said something at the wrong time, now you're kind of here.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what Eric and Tucker were going to kind of do with this information. If they were going to be like, okay, maybe we'll talk to Jas and Jag about it and sort of let them know so that we can kind of work with them a little bit. Or if they were going to go later and talk to Taylor and Kyland about it and be like, I overheard what you guys said. There is no gentleman's alliance. Yeah. Instead, there's this alliance because Eric and Tucker kind of know what's going on with this other alliance. And they're just like, no, we're not helping. We're not part of this. We're not any of this. So I was kind of surprised that that's the route they decided to take.
Yeah, because I think there's
they don't need them.
There's another bit of information here that's really important for all of us to remember. And that's just that Taylor and Kyland were in kind of the latter group for a lot of the race before this episode.
Yes.
And they weren't really around the big alliance as much as Tucker and Eric. So yeah, Tucker and Eric, like you said, they have a lot more information because they've been around these people a lot more than Taylor and Kyland have.
Yeah.
All right, we're at the roadblock now. Who among us is putting together, I don't know what to call this, the slab, the go, who's gonna play Mario Kart on the street of Dubrovnik here?
Okay, so my handy woman skills are very poor. When I was living by myself, which I lived by myself for a very, very, very long time, I needed to have my curtains hung. And I had a shower curtain that I just hung in my window of my bedroom by nailing it to the ceiling. That is where my skills are. So if I was the person that was putting this together, it would be a mistake.
Okay, here's where this is an interesting debate because I feel like I would.
But I feel like I can go down the hill.
This is the thing.
But I can't build it.
I feel like I would be so-so at building. I'm not great. Like, let's make that part of this very, very clear. Have I put together some things before? Yes, I have figured that out, but it would be very dependent on me not being frustrated or not seeing that some of these pieces were different lengths and they had to go in different spots. Like I have hung curtains before. I have built a lamp. I put together a book. I've done some Andy stuff, but I'm not sitting over here with like a hammer attached to my head being like, I will come and fix it.
I have built nothing. My 2-year-old son knows more than me. He's calling his hammer a hammy.
Okay, here's the problem. when we get to the go-kart part of all of this, there is a big part of me that feels like you would be much better at this. And
that thing was small.
Yes, you were small, and that's why
you were 6'3". I feel like you would have had a very hard time riding down on that.
I was shocked that Tucker did as well, because Tucker's not a small guy either.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because he's a big muscular dude, if all that weight just helped his momentum to go faster. I'm not a physicist, but I'm just sitting back and thinking, I am not coordinated. My lanky you-know-what is going to be like flailing around on that thing. I'm going to fall off. I'm going to go to the hospital again after the first challenge. So I feel like Phil's going to penalize us for this, but I think what we're going to do is I'm going to build the go-kart, and then we're just going to send you down the hill on it.
I wish that they had allowed that, because this challenge was going to be it for us. There was no way I was able to build it, and I don't know how you were getting down the hill.
I was probably never getting down the hill, but I did really like this challenge because it was a test of a lot of different things, and that's something this show needed more of this season, because there's the building part of it, and I mean, this is where we eventually get to Hannah and Simone, who finished last. Like, they struggled with the building part of it because, they're not as handy equipped as some other people. Like, this is something that really helped Izzy and Paige a lot, where despite being U-turned, they were able to sort of come around and do all right.
That was so exciting.
I love watching people get U-turned, get through it, and survive. I
like Izzy and Paige so much.
I want them and Jag and Jazz to stay as long as possible, because I like rivalries. This was competitive, and it was better because of it. So I'm thrilled that they stayed. But there was a clear struggle when it came to the building part of this. And then there was a huge struggle when it came to going down the hill. For a long time, with the way in which they kept showing Chelsea, I actually thought Chelsea was going to be going home for a huge percentage of this episode.
Yeah, I was pretty worried, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, but losing Hannah and Simone here, I'm bummed by this, mostly because they feel like the most likable, normal people out of everything. Like, they're not a big, huge, crazy personalities. Like, Hannah really wasn't that on her season of Big Brother either. She was just this likable, smart person who you could sort of see and understand where they were standing within the game.
They were so supportive of it. Like, Simone was just, I could just see it all over her face, all over her body, how badly she felt about what was going on, and that there was nothing she could do to really pull it together. And man, Hannah was really there for her, was just like, no, I love you. We are getting through this. You are doing the best.
This was just a great episode for sister relations, because even Rubina and Christine, like how they were struggling, and even when they left and they were sort of giving well wishes to Hannah and Simone, I felt so much. It's like, oh, you guys really care about each other, even though one of you is going to lead to the other getting eliminated.
I know. And it was so sad when they were like building the carts and Simone was really struggling with it. You could see, like, even Paige was like, man, it hurts my heart to not help, because I know that I know how to do this and I want to help. And that's part of the race, right? Your helpful nature, and that part of you have to find a way to actually put that away.
I'm just glad that Hannah and Simone got to have the trip to the pit stop, and they didn't have to have the elimination where he comes to them. Like, they were able to leave with their dignity. They did a good job. But that is where we are exiting this episode of The Amazing Race.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Are Tucker and Eric the actual favorites now, after how they just steamrolled everybody this week?
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm a huge Tucker fan. I've made that no secret. Like, let us know in the comments, and also hit that subscribe button. And if you do want to support us further, be sure to join our Patreon. We have a link in the description. We are covering Slow Horses there exclusively in video form. Thank you so much for your support, and we will see you here next time.